like to pass on directly to Jonathan, because I think you all can't wait to finally start your conversation after these three we had.
And finish it.
And finish it, yes. Alright, so then, yeah.
I have one question for you. Can we have more time? Because we're the last.
Well, we will have to ask the audience.
No.
I would say maybe to start, and then let's see.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Please allow me to introduce my guests before I started. These two beautiful girls here, they're double fee, curatorial duo formed in 2017 by Vanina, born Napoli, and Viviane, born Sao Paulo. Assuming curatorial practice is a tool for seeing the real, the duo questions conceptions of the curatorial as a ground for playing safe. Instead, they approach curatorial practice as a trench of resistance, aiming at an enlarging of art's vocabulary and enabling social imagination by investigating counter-exhibitions form. And the gentleman here is Lee, is it correct? Senior architect and engineer for Arrow Frankfurt. He was a graduate from Coburg University of Applied Science in the area. He worked for numerous projects in interesting offices in Germany, such as Studio Neo Libeskind, Ingenhoven, Hand Architecture, and so on. Okay, I would like to express my interest in some topic these years during my post-academic life. Working in architecture office, doing some projects, and reading to architecture and global problem through a lens of a working class architect in Germany. My first concern will be the limitation that I have to the access of bibliographical reference that leads me to question how far actually someone can legitimize their work after the academics. Like how at which level we can put our work to be considered deep, specific, accurate, and I came to reorient this expected aesthetical outcome from critical evaluation of project. Questioning the nature of research, whether through its scientific format, mere observation, or even speculation, concluded that the power of surface should not be underestimated. In certain topic, for example, the study of how breeze affecting water, I doubt that it should necessarily dig too much to dark zone and sky high in sort of the liminal area. Then reoriginating the reference or the canon is what caught my attention these days. What is a reference? What makes a reference legit? How we move from the canonical reference or bibliographical reference to post-internet algorithmic reference, allowing the famous and the suggested items as the newcomer. As you guys see in the slide showing this on front, this is a project I did on last summer, a series of edited satellite pictures of buildings. It started first about my interest of what should we do to the famous. Then come the selection of the famous building that mostly come from European countries where the formal discipline of architecture was born. And ever since, architecture is always still a Eurocentric discipline. As I'm quoting someone, as René de Graaf expressed in question and answer session in Berlin in 2016, we, as an architect, we raise question instead of answer. We can't change the system, but we can help to shake it down. In the other hand, this project while doing this project, I realized that realism is more relevant than ever before. Well, nowadays everything can be real, no matter how fake their nature is. The production of alternate fiction is not the worst part of it. Joe Cohan wrote about backfire effect as a mechanism to avoid cognitive dissonance. A backfire effect happens when people is being exposed by the correction to their incorrect thoughts. It doesn't pull them out of the surface, it drags them down even deeper to denial. It is absolutely threatening to admit that we are wrong, said Cohen. The confusion of what is real drove us mad. We become reluctant to everything, including the truth, no matter how. Due to our brain capacity, compression of data is required to ease the process of thinking. It also created blind spots and later shift to perception of news or images. Back on the exhibition, this piece was exhibited on last summer. Visitor can mostly tell what is the idea, what kind of building possibly is, but mostly not what is different with the image. Satellite images is a potential tool to produce new public because of the nature of the internet. Nevertheless, including the anarchy it can possibly cause, that doesn't show up in real life. I guess we can. I would like to receive commentary on this.
Maybe I have to share my personal experience on that, because I was invited, fortunately, to your exhibition at Kai Studio, and I went there, and the first reaction of me was, how can I miss this kind of architecture was shown in the picture? And then I saw the picture of the BMW tower, and my reaction was, what the F? Because I was living in Munich for several years, and I done really a lot of sports in Olympic Park, which is next to the building, and I didn't see the top of the board here. It's a Mercedes. I didn't know that. And it's really, for me, it's really saying, okay, it's really a kind of joke. It's not really real in the case. It's really a fake. It's really, for me, I started to rethink about the architecture as I got an invitation to tonight's event. And what I'm thinking about is, what if the architecture is actually bring out like this, and would it function? So it will work. I think somehow we will find a way to work, and mechanically and structurally. What I'm thinking about is how can we sort out it's a fake, it's a realistic. So for me, it's a really starting point to think. How can you, if someone show you a picture and you didn't know it before, so you never know if it's a fake or it's realistic, because both of them could work.
I think that's a question that we should really face ourselves. Like, why can't we? I mean, why can't we know that it is actually, if you live if you sort of like live this architecture by your daily life, why can't you understand that it's actually not so as it is? I think that's why I point out that it could be, I don't know. What do you think?
For me, I think it's also important to think about like the difference between like what's real and what is true. You know, like when you point about like post-truth, when you point like the post-truth issue, I think like sometimes we get confused like in what is true and what is real. Like the truth is a construction, you know, like, and for me it's a very important point of view, and I'm like tempted to talk about Foucault as well, like, and how this image brings me like the image also of extension of the panoptical of Foucault, you know, like this satellite image, they bring in my mind like extension of this eye that all sees and we don't know where it is. So like
I was also thinking that when I was starting this project, I also read Roy, and for him it's only about two things: it's actual or real. And the real has the possibility to expand the meaning or the significance for us, and actually it's actually less, or maybe not at all. I don't know how I should compare this to your idea of do. I think through.
We have tried to think about this idea of true, and also this idea of the position of GIS that produce this perception of reality as a kind of, like in effect, we are thinking about true, about way.
Our way of like living outside.
A kind of the position of power, you know. Like I have the impression that all this image, that was strange because I have started my reflection in a very close point of view, because one of these images is the Parthenon, and was very strange thinking in this object that is a part of very familiar, you know, it's a part of my intimate construction, and thinking as famous, and I have started to thinking about famous and canon, and in a moment on your text you put the question as these two words and these two things is something that's different, but I think that's not in fact okay.
So you are comparing the famous.
I think that famous
and familiar.
No, the famous and canon is. I think that is come from the same regime of visibility. In a way, you have the same authority position that speak about what is necessary that's famous for you, what is necessary that you know in this moment, and what is the object that produces the sense, that produce meaning in this moment. And in your work, I think that you produce a very good synthesis of this kind of production of meaning, because in a moment you show the famous building.
I think I'm gonna be very blunt here. What I think is famous is like when this building was posted for million times on Instagram, or I'm just a working class, I don't know anything about it. And when I asked Google, like, okay, show me which building is the most famous in Rome, and Google will show me something.
Yes, but I think that is not different, you know. You continue to think
what?
No, it's not thinking. The problem is how the canon is composed, and who decides that this building is the most famous of Rome. And I think that in this moment we don't have a difference of this position, because this position is a position of authority, and the question is who is the authority now? Who produced the authority now? And for us, the question is
pretty interesting. I was saying, is a building famous because it's famous, because it's good, or is it famous because it's, I don't know, it's public something times, or it's been placed in so important place? I mean, it's pretty interesting question.
But because for us, like, the thing is, like, what produced the famous is the same logic that produced the canon, you know? Like, and what was the canon before is what is the famous today, and the question should be more like who produced it and what for, not like the difference between like what is famous and what is canonical.
Well, for us, the question more interesting is, okay, we show this image, we see this image, but in fact, what we see? We see the image that is the narration of this image is a narration of natural perception, you know? And we have the idea that is eyes in the sky that look this, you know, this kind of your perception, your kind of, but this is true or not. But the problem that this narration is that true. And what is this true? Is the possibility of reality about an unibad eyes that is outside, you know, this an eyes and a posture of regard that's completely without body and in a way that completely invisibilizes the projection or production of this image.
Okay, let me say something about the thing. I mean, I think canon was decided by a group of elite. They sit together and it's like, okay, this building is great, let's talk about it.
And
for another 100 years.
And what is famous for Google, for example? It's
It's
not decided also for
the algorithm.
But the algorithm, it runs with money as well. So in this kind of, like, if we think about that, like, what is famous, it's decided about an elite as well, you know, like, because money is ruling what it's famous. Money is deciding what is famous because we are under a new level stage, you know.
But you think there's a feedback of public on what they search or not? Like public, okay, I don't know. It's like double check. A group of public will post something, and at the end they realize, oh, maybe another set of sample of public will know that.
Yeah.
So they just throw it.
Yes, but the question is that you have you need to, you need to storicize this perception. Because if you see I can say, in a way that is not living, you can't understand them. Because in this way that is shown, and it's not possible to understand. But in a way that you decide,
Just dig in the subject?
yes, you know, you decide to analyze who produced this subject, who produced, how is produced this
And also what is public is also like a battle.
So you think a kind of project that are just surface like is not valid, it's not legit?
No, this is completely different. No, I don't.
No, but what we are trying to say right now is like the legitimation of thinking. It's a project also, you know, like. And this is why I think we would like to quote also Edouard Brisson, because he said that like Western is not a location, Western is a project, you know? It's not a location, we are in the West. No, it's not a location, this is a project, and this has a lot of to do with what we perceive and what the sensations that we have and how we perceive the buildings and how we are in this world and how we experience it.
How's the process? Yeah, you done the Photoshop work in Städelschule, I don't know, different tries you have carried out, or it's a rendering, or the form of it?
Of course, there's a lot of architecture disciplinary things that I try to. For example, like like how do you recognize a building through its outline or through its hatches, like things that renders the bodies. And I think mostly people recognize a building. I mean, from the experience with a visitor, they render a building through the form, like the outline, not through the pattern or to the render itself. When I deform its outline, they just like what is this? What is happening?
Yeah, that's what I feel in the exhibition. So it's like
So there is a degree of abstraction that your mind tries to. It's sort of like a compression, like how your brain tries to perceive something.
And I think just to put also another thing is like, I think we are facing also a dehumanization of perception, you know, like when we see this kind of image, like the satellite image, it's not an image that an eye, like a human eye could see. So I think that it's always also important for us to have it in mind, like the relationship between this kind of image and the relationship with algorithm, because algorithm also is like how we can dehumanize things, you know, like how can we put them like far from the human perspective.
But engineering is about perception, because in this way you can also try to do a link with the problem of post-truth, because we are thinking about, and for us the problem is a lot of it's okay. And the problem is that if you think about the post-truth, it's thinking also because in a moment you are thinking about truth. And what is this idea that the possibility to truth exists? What he decides what is true and not, you know, is all times a regime of truth.
Tell me a little bit about regime of truth. What is it? What do you mean by regime of truth?
Okay. For example, when you if you see this image, it's not true for him, you know. But we share a point of view, and we can recognize this image. We can recognize it, we can decide that that's true, maybe if we don't have the perception of the subject in this way.
Like we don't recognize now, or
we don't
we
recognize,
never know.
No, we never know in this way, but we can recognize that is this object. Because we share this.
Because we construct the image?
Yes,
or?
because we share,
Okay.
we are inside this kind of construction image. We share the same knowledge, the same system power that produces this image.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, maybe we can take this moment because it's also raining like crazy outside. So I think it's the best to stay inside and to maybe ask if there are any questions or if there's anyone who would like to jump into this conversation or maybe another conversation that we had earlier.